Hello and welcome to my review of the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Imperium Ultimate 40K box set. This set came out a few weeks ago now. I'm now ready to give you my full review of it. One of these sets will set you back £95, and I'm currently doing a giveaway, a 15,000 subscriber giveaway. It's one of the videos on my channel, so all you need to do is just leave the comment Dark Imperium in that video, like the video, share it, and just be a subscriber to the channel. Then you can win one of these sets. Think of this set as like the sort of full fat version of the Warhammer 40,000. It's very, very similar to the box sets of previous editions. I think a couple of editions they've had a sort of smaller version of the rules. The first ever edition that I got had, the first ever edition that I purchased was, I think it was the third edition. It had Space Marines and Dark Eldar, and it had the hardback rulebook. And since then, there's been sort of changes in editions and all the rest of it. I think the last one, they didn't have the rulebook in, but the rulebook came in sort of 3 separate books. But for this one, they've gone back to the true and tested formula of a big sort of 288 page rulebook. They have just released a couple of other similar type box sets. One is No Fear, which is £50, and it does include a lot of these models here, and a gaming mat and things. And to be fair, it would have been nice if that gaming mat was included in this set, because they do give you 12 dice, and they give you a 12-inch range ruler, which is great, but obviously there's a lot of weapons there that are sort of 24 inches or even 30 inches, so a tape measure is probably still the best way to go. But definitely for movement, this is great. But going back to the sets, so there's a No Fear set 50, and then there's a small set which I've just reviewed, which is the First Strike set, and this is probably one of the best entry points for Warhammer 40,000 and specifically 8th edition. As you can see, it's got 6 Space Marines and it's got sort of 9 Death Guard models, and it's got a mat and some scenery. So you've got a few ways of getting into the hobby instead of sort of sinking, £95 on one box set. What I'm going to do, like in all of my reviews, is just talk about all of the models in both of the forces first of all, and then I'll talk about all the extras like the rules and things like that. There will be a individual review of the rule book. I'm still going through it at the moment, so hopefully that review will come quite soon. What I will say is, if you're still on the fence with these new Space Marines, these Primaris Space Marines, which are a fair bit bigger than the old sort of mini Marines, I really would suggest you read Dark Imperium by Guy Haley. He's a great 40k author anyway, great for Space Marine author. And this book, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it really fleshes out, well, the Ultramarines, but in particular the Primarch Robute Guilliman, and also the Primaris Marines and the suits of armour and lots of other different characters and things. So I'd strongly suggest you try and get hold of that book to really flesh it out, and that will help you sort of understand the new units as well that are coming out, like the Aggressors and the Apothecary and so on. Anyway, back to this set. Let's have a look at the models. Firstly, before I review the models, I will say that the Death Guard have been sprayed with Death Guard green spray. The review is coming soon if it's not already on the channel. And to the right, all of the Primaris Space Marines, they've just been undercoated with Chaos Black spray, and they've had a very quick paint of gold on the trims. They're nowhere near finished or anything like that. Probably the Marine that's closest to being finished is probably this one. He's got a little bit of highlighting on him, but all the rest, just go easy on me. They're all work in progress. But I thought I'd do this review now. It just felt like a good time to do it. Pushing my bias aside, let's just look at the Nurgle forces or the Plague Marines. So you get 20 of these sort of little models with the small 25mm bases, and they're Poxwalkers. Basically you get 10, and then the other 10 are complete copies. They're quite well detailed, they're easy to build, put together. A lot of them only have sort of like an arm or a weapon just to glue on, and then just glue on the base. They're quite easy to build, and they don't really take very long at all. Right, so that's the Poxwalkers. Then it comes with 7 Plague Marines, which are these guys, and I said it in the review. For some reason, they've made them bigger. In Horus Heresy, Space Marines with the Mark III iron armour are nowhere near as sort of tall as this, so I don't know how they would explain it in the fluff, that they made the armour plates bigger or that they were newer armour plates, because this is the same sort of armour plating that you got from the Horus Heresy, but the Marines are a fair bit bigger. That being said, they are lovely models, lots of dynamic sort of poses, and lots of areas to just paint bronze bells, to paint sort of Typhus corrosion and Nurgle's rot and tentacles and all kinds of things. It really give you a great canvas of which to be creative. I mean, look at that with the tentacle coming out of the helmet there. I really like this champion with the power fist. And also I really do like this plasma gun trooper with the Cyclops eye and then the teeth that are sort of set back. I think it's incredible amount of detail for sort of easy to build sort of plastic miniatures. So that's the Plague Marines, and then sort of an offshoot of that, you've sort of got a Psyker and then a lieutenant type of character. You got this guy, he's a Blightbringer. It's got this massive bell on the top and a Nurgling just riding that horn. And then you've got the Plaguecaster, which is sort of like the Psyker. It's got sort of like this fat boy, chubby boy, sort of blowing big cheeks worth of, you know, flies and goop and everything. Very creative models. And then we've got the sort of elephant in the room, which is like the I'd say the sort of dreadnought type model, which is the Photed Bloat Drone, which is a remarkable looking model. Really, really simple and easy to build. And it's going to look great with all the sort of rotted metal work and corroded fans and things like that. So that's a really nice model. Rules are pretty good for it too. And then finally, you've got this huge model on this massive sort of 50mm base, biggest base of any model here, other than the Bloat Drone, of course, which is this Lord of Contagion. It's got this massive axe. I mean, this model is bigger than the current model for Typhus, who is another important figure for Death Guard. So there you go. That's this Lord of Contagion. Excellent looking model and massive. Okay, that's the sort of baddies, or are they goodies? I don't know. That's the Nurgle force. Let's have a look at the Space Marines. All of these Space Marines are the new Primaris Space Marines. They're bigger, taller, and they have better weaponry than the current sort of mini Marines or Space Marines. So what you're getting is 2 squads of 5 Primaris Space Marines. These are the standard ones called Intercessors. According to the book that comes with it, you can have 5, so 1 sergeant and then 4 sort of standard ones. So it comes with two sets of those. I'll just quickly show you what they sort of look like. That's one. He's almost finished. He's on his way to be finished though. So yeah, that is a Primaris Space Marine. And then one of the sergeants, he needs a fair bit of work, but you sort of get the idea. Then you get 5 Hellblasters, which are basically a little bit like Intercessors, but they've got 30-inch plasma weapons with AP -4, which they can sort of supercharge them. They need a fair bit of work, but there you go. So you get 5 of those. And then you get a couple of lieutenants, which is this guy with a sort of bolt pistol and a power sword. And another one. and an ancient. It's just got this chapter banner. And then you get 3 interceptors, which are these jump pack troops. I've seen the pictures, they're on the Warhammer online website, the Warhammer community website. They're showing some with dual plasma guns. I think they must be plasma incinerators or something, but they're dual and they're hooked up to their power pack. They look immense. I wasn't a huge fan of these when I first saw them. I'm still not the biggest fan, but the sort of poses I've put them in do them justice, I think, in my opinion. Especially the sergeant. He sort of, I mean, you can imagine him sort of moving across the battlefield pretty quickly in that pose. Probably the worst sort of pose I've done is this one. I mean, he's probably taking off rather than touching down. But if I made him 90 degrees, then he'd just look like he's man spreading. So, but there you go. And other than those, you also get a Primaris captain in Gravis armour. Gravis armour is going to be a big thing. There are pictures already of the aggressors, which look like they're in Gravis armour, and they have these large rocket pods on the top. No doubt I'll probably get those and do reviews of those. So that's the captain, which is quite a large captain, and he's got this huge protruding sort of belly armour. Would have been nice if they sort of scaled that back, but that is the type of armour. So as you can see, 2 great forces. Love all the miniatures in them, obviously some more than others, and it's just a fantastic kit for miniatures. Usually with box sets, I'm not a big fan of the sort of the baddie side, you know, the opposite side of the Imperium, but in this set I really do like the Death Guard models. Cracking miniatures. And Space Marines are just sort of more of the same, but just a bit bigger. Okay, so what else do you get in the set? Well, you get the instruction guide, which is a great instruction guide, I might add. It gives you all the points of contact, even a paint guide, so it's worth keeping this just while, you know, I'm painting it. Right now, obviously, there are some paint guides, you know, on the internet. Then you get this little core rules card that you can just unfold and have a look at all the phases. I will say, a bit disappointing because the font is really, really small on this. But that's the only sort of downside I can see. And it would have been nice if sort of like these were highlighted, as in sort of boxes, or the numbers were a bit more highlighted. But other than the font and that's quite useful. Then you get 2 sort of mini codexes, I'd call them, for Death Guard and the Space Marines. I'll just give you a quick look through one of them. So it gives you a bit of a background to all of the different units. And then it gives you these sort of data sheets, which again, I'd much prefer if that was sort of larger and across the whole thing with larger font for all of them, because what they've done is they've got these, but there's still a huge gap where they could have used, there's just huge gaps at the bottom of each page. You know, it's a similar sort of layout to the Forge World sort of data sheets. But we'll see what the Codex layouts are like. And then the Primaris Space Marines is in exactly the same format, with all of your data sheets towards the back, and then points cost right at the very far back. One thing that I made a mistake on in like the unboxing initial impressions is and the reviews of each of those models actually, is I didn't actually add the points of the weapons. Apparently for all the models, even though it's got the points per model, you always have to add the points for the weapon. So in a way that sort of takes longer, because for a lot of these squads you didn't normally have to do that, but this edition you do. You have to, you know, normally for a specific unit, the points for its weapon that it was equipped with, you didn't have to add onto it. But for, I don't know, the Inceptors, for example's sake, each model is equipped with 2 assault bolters. So then you have to buy the assault bolters at 7 points each. So yeah, that's just a point I needed to make. And then finally, the sort of icing on the cake for this whole set, other than the miniatures, which of course £95 for this many miniatures is pretty good, but the icing on the cake is this really nice hardback large rulebook. It's your 280 page rulebook, and it's got, well, for one, it's got a page keeper. The paper is pretty good quality. It's got some absolutely stunning artwork, some we've seen before, some that's completely new. You've got this artwork with Gilliman, so Primarch's returned, and this is what the current sort of galaxy is looking like with the Cicatrix Maledictum. Basically, it's a rip in the warp across the whole of the galaxy, and it's really causing havoc for a lot of the Imperial forces. They've sort of geared up to war again, and trying to fight chaos, just trying to put out fires wherever they can. But the Imperium have sort of really got into gear since Gilliman's return. And then towards here, you've got the different types of play. So you've got your playing the game, you've got open play, narrative play, and match play. So instead of just, you got your points and there you go, have some games, you've got your different play styles now. I'll talk more about this book in its separate review, but there's lots and lots of missions, many pages just of missions and tactical objectives, battle zones, planetfall, you name it, even sort of death from the skies, and so on. So it's a great rule book. It might be a bit intimidating for people new to the hobby, but when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to get hold of the main rule book, to really sort of bury myself in the universe at the time and read up as much as I possibly could about it. So in summary, I think this is an amazing kit. It is a big investment, sort of £95, and for people that are still on the fence, it's great to see that Games Workshop finally have a £25 sort of starter kit to give you that option to sort of dip your toe into the hobby and to the 41st millennium without having to sort of pay, almost £100 to do so. So what do you think of the box set? I'd love to hear your comments below. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.